Hello friends, welcome to Presidency School's YouTube channel. I, Heer, would like you to take to the chemical coordination in plants part 2. In our previous video, we have already learned about the plant hormones in detail. But in this video, we'll understand about what do you mean by the tropic movements in plant. We'll understand in detail, we'll recap and a short assignment for you. When we learn about the tropic movement in plant, the first and the foremost important thing is to understand the word tropic. Tropic is derived from the Greek word which means tropos, and the meaning of this word means to turn, means to show the response towards the stimulus. The movement that has been exhibited, they are called as tropic movements. So these are the growth movements occurring in response to the unidirectional external stimuli in a plant pot. Now those who exhibit this movement, that is called as tropism. The direction of the response is related to the direction from which the stimulus has come. We'll understand about the response and the stimulus. Now when I talk about stimulus, it's an internal or an external stimulus that is being arised. And what in turn we are getting the response. Now let's understand in detail what do you mean by this response and the stimulus. And with that, we'll learn about the phototropism, geotropism, hydrotropism, Keymodetropism and Keymodetropism in detail. Let's understand the first, that is a phototropism. If you look at this picture very carefully, you will see this is a potted plant and this is a source of light, and this potted plant is kept near the window. Now this source of light is acting as a stimulus. What in turn this will do? This will bend. Why it will bend? Because you are getting the source of light. So what do you observe? You are observing it is a movement towards light. Now you remember we have already learned about the auxins in our last video. They are the growth promoting hormones. Now these hormones, these auxins, I have already explained you about the apical. Like these auxin molecules help in the bending of the shoot. Once they are produced, here you can see there is an elongation of cell which helped the plant part to bend towards the source of light. Now in this, if you can understand, this is the shoot part which is bending towards the source of light. Roots which are embedded inside the soil, they don't grow towards the source of light. Hence, the two types of the phototropic movements occur. One is a positive phototropic, means bending towards the source of light. And who is bending? Shoot. Shoot is bending towards the source of light. So the shoots are showing positive phototropism. What is negative phototropic? The roots that are growing away from the source of light, they show negative phototropic, and thus the roots, they show negative phototropism. The second is the geotropism. The word geo means it's towards the earth gravity, growing towards the earth gravity. If you look at these two pictures, you will see this is a pot plant before it falls off, and here once it falls off, the auxin, it helps in the cell elongation which has made the shoot to bend and the roots to grow. So who will show positive geotropism here? The roots will show positive geotropism because it is towards the gravity, it's towards the soil. Whereas the shoot, they will grow away from the gravity. That's why they show negative geotropism. Now, what's the role of the auxins in the gravitotropism? Obviously, geotropisms. I have already explained you that the auxins play a very significant role in the cell elongation. If you look at the difference in between the two diagrams, you will see the auxins that are produced in the lower side of the root and the stem helps the roots to grow deep embedded inside the soil and shoots to elongate. Now this geotropism can also be demonstrated in a laboratory with the help of an experiment called as instrument called as clinostat. This is a very simple experiment where you can see one is control and another one is test. If you look at this particular control, Control setup means what? You won't see any change in the bending of the shoot. But in the test, you will be able to see the bending of the shoot and the growing up of the roots, because we are learning the geotropism, right? So one is rotated and the other one is not. So one which is stationary, they will show negative geotropism, and the roots, they will show positive geotropism. And the other plant is not showing any bending. Why? Because all the parts, they are equally exposed to the gravitational force during rotation. So this is a stationary clinostat which is showing a negative geotropism, and roots, they are showing positive. Who is showing negative? Shoots. Who is showing positive? Roots. Please understand the difference between the positive and the negative tropism movements. Next, we'll learn about the hydrotropism. The word hydro itself says that it's in water or the moisture. So the response to the water or the moisture is your hydrotropism. Here also, as we water the soil, so the roots, they are going to show a positive tropism, and the shoots, they will show a negative tropism as they are growing away from the source of moisture. This also has also been exhibited with a simple experiment that you can see here. In this experiment, you will see this is a bean seed which has been taken, and you have already learned in your previous classes what about the pumils and what's the meaning of the radicals. For your information again, pumils, which will give rise to the shoot system, and the radicals will give rise to the root system. Now if you will see, as the seeds germinate, the radicals are slowly initially growing downwards, that means towards the gravity. Now source of water is what? It is the moist sawdust. They are growing upwards. Upwards means what? Against the gravity. So this complete experiment is showing how the roots, they grow towards the water, but shoots do not. For the roots, water is more effective stimulus than the gravity. So again, in this hydrotropism, what you observe, the shoots, they will show a negative geotropism and hydrotropism, and the roots will show a positive hydrotropism. Next, we'll learn about Keymodetropism. That is the movement of the plants in response to the touch, that is the stimulus. And the movement of the plants in response to the touch stimulus. And the stimulus is being preceded by the tendril trips, and they have been transmitted to the basal parts. Now the entire tendril becomes sensitive and they start spinning around the support. This tendril example is the well-known example of Keymodetropism. Keymo, understand that it is a response to the touch. The next is the Keymodetropism. Very interesting. This is a phenomenon of the growth of the plant organs in response to the chemicals. Now you have learned this diagram in your previous standard, that how the pollen grains, they stick to the stigma, and how the style, they takes up to the ovary, and here the fusion takes place. So this movement of the pollen tube towards the ovule is nothing but an example, is in response towards the chemicals. Now if you look at this picture is the example of the movement of the tentacles in Drosera. Why they move? Because they want food. How they are going to get the food? Through the other sources. So these movement of the tentacles in Drosera towards the source of nutrition, also an example of Keymodetropism. So what are the examples of Keymodetropism? The movement of the pollen tube of angiosperms, the movement of the fungi growing towards the areas richer in food, movement of the tentacles in Drosera towards the source of nutrition. Now let's understand what all things we have learned here. First we learned about phototropism, movement in response to light. Again here you have to learn about positive and the negative. Positive, shoot will show the positive phototropism and the roots will show the negative phototropism. Geotropism, that's moving towards the earth or force of gravitation. In this, roots will show the positive geotropism and shoots will show negative geotropism. Keymodetropism, it's in response towards the touch stimulus. Hydrotropism, the movement of the plant plants in response to the water or the moisture. Again in this we have to learn two. One is positive hydrotropism and second is negative hydrotropism. Again, positive hydrotropism is being exhibited by the roots and the negative hydrotropism is being exhibited by shoots. And the last one that we studied is Keymodetropism. That's the movement of the plant part towards a source of nutrients or the chemicals. Like we learned about the movement of the tentacles in case of Drosera for the nutrition. Okay. So do learn the examples of all these and learn the positive and the negative tropism. What is the definition of the tropism? What do you mean by tropic? What do you mean by stimulus? What do you mean by the response? And the definitions of all these tropisms in detail. A short assignment for you. First, please note down what are tropic movements. Briefly explain various types of the tropic movements in plants. With the help of an experiment, prove that roots are more positively hydrotropic than the geotropic. Differentiate between Keymodetropism, stimulus of touch, Geotropism, gravity, Phototropism, sensitive to light, response to light, Keymodetropism means in turn of chemicals. Last question, name the stimulus which causes the following movements in plants. You have to give us a stimulus, Phototropism, Keymodetropism, Hydrotropism and Geotropism. I'll just give you the answers of this. Phototropism, the stimulus is what? Light. Keymodetropism, the stimulus is touch. Hydrotropism, the stimulus is water. And Geotropism, the stimulus is the gravity. Okay. So do write down all these questions because they are very important. Now as far as the board exam is concerned, the most important thing that you have to learn in this chapter, the whole chapter, is all about the definitions and the reasons. Now if I talk about the stigma and the geotropism, you have to understand the stimulus and response. Phototropism, Keymodetropism, again you have to understand the definitions and you have to write down the differentiation. Now again when the question rises for the differentiation, please understand in bracket the parameters will be given on which basis you need to differentiate them, whether in case of definition or in case of the stimulus. So please read the chapter completely, thoroughly and understand well. Again and again watch this video and write down all the differences, solve the objective type of questions and do write me in case you have any doubts, in case you have any queries on this chapter. So we have completed the chemical coordination and in next video we'll study about the new chapter. Okay. So thank you so much students for watching this video. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.